Good morning, brothers and sisters in the Lord. Today, I will not basically preach, but we'll just share and think together over this particular topic that looks complex because the most complex issue in life is studying God, studying who God is and knowing who He is, because He is never a human. We are humans, while God is a spirit. So you just have to understand the workings of the spirit to be able to understand who God is. And today we will look at certain issues around who God is, and looking at Him as a righteous judge. I've discovered that all parents are judges. True or false? Every parent is a judge. Even if you are not a parent, if you are a senior in your family, senior brother, you are a judge. So we are going to compare how God judges and how you judge, because sometimes I listen to cases that they bring before us as parents, like, how do I even judge this case? And what confuses me is this. Today, maybe Arsenal is playing with Man U. Arsenal is holding their hands there, praying. Abi? Man U is holding their hands there, doing what? Praying. To who? How do you judge this case? How? Because take yourself as God. These two human beings are praying to you. In a certain scenario, you wanted to dry your floor, and there was a little sun. You brought out that floor in the sun, and you are praying, God, let there be no rain. Please let this thing dry up. I remember one other funny story that this guy brought up. There was rain, so he couldn't take the weed. He couldn't take weed. So when there was little rain, he brought out the weed and sun it outside, so at least he can smoke. Then rain fell on the weed. Then he come to me and say, "Oh, the Jimmy got that means I don't know." I call the crowd, say, "What kind of woman?" Ah, somebody say, "Oh, like, but how do I put it in English? Sir? Eh? Somebody will not even smoke in at peace. Little time I will see rain. Rain came on. I will see sun to dry my rain on it. How bad? I make it go to look better. So this judgment can be terrible. God's judgment is a very complex issue for God to judge mankind. One thing I'm trying to do that, and okay, fine. Let's open Psalm 7 verse 11. Somebody should help me read. Another person should read 2 Timothy 4:8. Psalm 7:11. And then 2 Timothy 4, chapter 8. If you are there, let's read. Okay, that is the simple topics. I will look at why is God considered a righteous judge? Is He really a righteous judge? We'll look at it. We'll look at why we don't know, what we don't know, and what we should know, and we'll conclude and move. Now, the next slide, please. Psalm 7 verse 11 say,
Okay, Psalm 7:11
yes,
says, God is a righteous judge and a God who feels indignation every day.
all right. And then 2 Timothy, go ahead, please. Go ahead, since you have the mic. 2 Timothy.
Okay. 2 Timothy 4:8. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing.
Thank you very much. God bless you. There are two perspectives here. The first one is God is the righteous judge. He displays His wrath every blessed day. The second perspective is there is going to be a judgment on the last day, because it's saying on that day. Now, in the first perspective, is talking about things that actually we face every day, because at every blessed day, God judges a case. At every day, there is a consequence that somebody received because of his actions. Now, these are daily judgments. The second aspect is the final one, whereby everybody will appear before the throne of grace, receiving your own judgment according to what you have done. On that particular one, we also say, once you appear before judgment throne, we don't pray to appear there. Because the way the judgment is going to be, so that those who are righteous, boom, they're already in heaven celebrating. Now, once you appear before the throne of judgment, know very well that they're only telling you why you are going to hell. On 24th September, you did this. On the 2nd June, you killed. On 3rd to 4th this thing, you are the one that stole. You stole this, you did this. On 18th of November 1973, you brought your brother down. That is the last one. I want to concentrate more on this first one, so that we can look at how God looks at our routines and what actually we do. Because on the last day, we know exactly what is going to happen, and we know exactly what God is going to do. So I will speak less on that second part. Now, why do we consider God a righteous judge? Because Genesis 18:25 says, God judges according to the truth. He judges according to the truth. God does not judge anyone based on anything, but he looks at the merit of every case. So, if you read that verse, it says, how on earth will you judge the wicked and the righteous together? You can never judge the wicked and the righteous together, and he doesn't do that. So when you look at all those things, you now say, okay, he is a righteous judge, because he doesn't even say, oh, wicked take the same reward as the righteous. And that's why, for me, God says there's no peace for the wicked, Abi. So anytime I don't have peace of mind, it worries me a lot. It worries me a lot, because I don't want to go and harvest the reward for a wicked. So, and I also want you to check your heart very well. At any point in time you are having no peace, try to see how you can seek that peace. Oh, because that one is the reward for the wicked. Don't go and harbor that, collect that one. That judgment is for him. So at every point in time, that's why sometimes if somebody wants not to give you not to give you peace, create that peace for yourself, because you need it. God does not do anything that is not truthful. The second element that God does not do is that God is what? Impartial. If we are judging on this earth, there are elements that you will find out that somebody can be partial. I have seen partiality much more clear, especially that we have started running a school. And parents, almost every parent, tend to support their children, irrespective of whatever. Let anything happen that involves your child, go there, the first thing you accuse the other side. I've seen this quite clear. Okay, even if you say it is wrong, okay, why did you do it? Why do you touch him? Why do you touch her? So we see partiality in human character very clearly. Then I realized there was a conflict in the market. In fact, I am from this. There was a fight in Korinyato. This young man punched somebody, and this guy went and fell on these women that displays wares on a plate, kwaya food. So all the food, some sorted and fell down. Both the rice, the stew, and everything fell down. So they arrested this guy and took the vigilante. And the vigilante was very, very clear. Why on earth will you punch this guy to go and destroy this woman's food? You pay. You pay. So when the payment was, when they say you pay, was so that somebody came and now told the judge, the guy that the head of his like, say, look, this guy is your brother Kambakuro. He's the same, this guy that punch, the same place with you. He said, hey, Kawanu. He said, Kawanu, this thing. He said, oh. He now say, when they punch you, did they direct you where you go and for? Look at land, look at sand everywhere up here. Why would you go and fall on people's feet? You will pay because they didn't direct you where to go and fall. That's the kind of judges we have. God does things exactly as you be. No, sometimes the impartiality of God sometimes worries me. I'll say, oh, I am your child. At least I have done something over you. Let it be that at least God, you try to understand now. He will still pronounce his judgment. Very impartial. And that's why this thing, whatever you do, is what you see. You do anyhow, you see anyhow. Simple. Irrespective of whether you have millions or billions, it doesn't care. As long as you have done it anyhow, that is exactly what you see. And what God does is this. I keep wondering how he does this thing, but God has now created atmospheric conditions and he made it in such a way that anytime anybody does this, XYZ follows you. It may take time, but it must follow you. God has done it in such a way that sometimes the next party doesn't need to necessarily pray. But what he does is that, okay, you sat down and planned that this guy should not get a job or should not arise in life. Meanwhile, you are training your children in Harvard. You refuse this guy going to school. Wait until those children graduate from Harvard and see what they will do to you. It's impartial. The law of nature works. If you sit down and begin to say, oh, these people like this, X, Y, Z, shouldn't be where it should be. Let's see. Because God is impartial. Anything you do, and you look at, and one thing that God does that is very, very clear, that makes it so indisputable, is that he sees the heart. That's one thing that God does. Man sees human being man to man. God sees inside the heart. You may come here and say, because it is very difficult to judge a case that sometimes involves a woman. Because if a woman begins to cry, there's no way your emotions will not be tempered to switch your judgment to that area. Right or wrong? True, right? Because at the point in time you see, want to say, why do you do this? You begin to cry. I didn't do it. Meanwhile, maybe, I'm not sure, maybe she has done it too. But she will cry and win. Now, God sees inside her heart. Now, if actually a man may be able to say no from all actions, she has not done it, God will mark it down and say, at the right time, I will show you that you did it. And one thing there is that what I'm always afraid of is the consequences of God coming by himself. They are always not good. That's why I try to avoid it. If God gives you time and begins to bring his judgment after he has given you that time, the consequences are not good. That point in time, you begin to cry and listen and be like, oh God, why? Where are you? Where are you? Meanwhile, he's just bringing consequences based on what you have done. Sometimes the painful aspect is that sometimes you forget. I told you one story in my place whereby somebody was in Taraba. Very good man in Taraba. His son, he gave birth to only one child. And the child went to the stream to fetch water and somebody killed that child. Then the whole community began to worry. cry, God, why? This person has only one child and you kill the child. Okay, what has the child done that you kill the child? Meanwhile, when they wanted to go and bury the child, you know, these people will not bury somebody in exile. They say they want to carry the child to where the child. And when they realize that, oh, this man killed somebody's only child and ran to Taraba, killed that woman, and that to worsen the matter, the person he killed his child was a widow. There was even no probability of that person having another one again. When everybody was again, he ran to Taraba State. Then went and born a child. And God was watching carefully. And the child became 11. Then somebody killed that same child. In a stream. God's judgment. And that's why God is always a righteous judge. In your eyes, you look at it and say, why? He is done what actually you never knew. So he's impartial. He takes no side. In this world, people who have more wealth tend to get more. Yeah, they get away with anything, but not with God. He is impartial. One last thing he does is that he rewards good and punishes evil. Somebody should help me read that, Romans 2:6 or anyone. Psalm 75 verse 5. Psalm 75 verse 7, says what? He rewards good and punishes evil, right? Let me tell you something that God does that amazes me. Have you ever seen, can somebody show me, have you ever seen whereby somebody that was never imagined will rise in life, became something in your crocodile eyes like this? You think it's God. See, I have a lot of stories that I share. I told you I came to Abuja here and I had nowhere to stay. So there's somebody I used to teach. I went to go to that person's house and the person says, the woman says her husband's brother stayed in their house and stole their jewelries. So they don't allow anybody to sleep in their house again. So the husband was like, but you know Solomon now, this is your teacher now. He said, no, that law is sacrosanct. I don't change it. Your brother is the one that stole my jewelries that caused this. Okay. I had no option. I slept by Benue. Then GSM village was around Benue Plaza, under that bridge. Went for that interview. After God gave me that job, few minutes later or few months later, the woman called me. So I learned you are working here in NCC. He said, where are you? I said, yeah, I'm in the office. He said, can I see you? I said, okay, fine. Where can I see you? He said, in Jikwe. First of all, I said, this woman was in JS Taka Street. Even when last week I passed JS Taka, I said, oh, this woman, sir. JS Taka, how come you are in Jikwe? I said, okay. I traced Jikwe, not just the main Jikwe, Jikwe. So I went there. I was confused. Situation happened somehow. That great guy, he was the one working, had an accident, died, everything turned. They couldn't pay anything. They moved to that side. So after I discussed with them and I was trying to go back, he now says, Solomon. I said, ma, we don't have food. See, this life, one needs to be very careful with God's judgment. Nobody owns anything in this life. Be watchful. If you know how God operates, shocked. We're like, what? This is not even up to like 5 years. It's not even 3 years. I said, no problem. Good enough. I went with the car. I left as if I went. Everything I need to buy. Because that one is not my judgment. My judgment is to provide whatever happens, and whatever happens, the rest is history. So, at every point in time, I want to let you know, when you see somebody under you, and you treat this person with disdain, be careful. God brings someone down and does what? Watch it. These judgments are clear and they are there. In most cases, sometimes a pronouncement changes everything. And you that is given opportunity and you are acting anyhow. Sometimes I wonder, and this thing keeps happening over and over. Let me tell you something with the truth and from the truth. You see this guy sitting here, but if I give him governor of Benue State today, he will not pick my call. This guy. Wallahi, it happens. I keep wondering, what is this mentality? Why do we have this kind of mentality? Somebody is sleeping with you in the room. You are just like palling together. This person becomes, they gave him just DG or something alone, and then it begins to like look like this thing highest 4 years. I mean, the shocking element that after just that tenure, they call you for money again. They call you for help again. Because one thing I realized that all this thing they acquire doesn't even last. It goes like wind. Then you keep doing as if now everything is permanent, forgetting there's a righteous judge that brings down one and lifts up another. How dare you think you have arrived? God is a righteous judge. My prayer is that those who feel you are down and your own is finished, there's a righteous judge. He will lift you up in the mighty name of Jesus. This is the conviction I have, that God is impartial. He is not even asking you, are you related to the past presidents? No, he won't ask you that question. Are you related to the governor of government? No, he won't even ask that question. He is a just and righteous judge. He doesn't care your background. I am sure if he's considering by statutes, I don't merit to have 1 million naira, even in my account. Because where will I pass with the height of people like? Yes, sir. Next. Now, I want to ask you something. Are there situations whereby we feel, I want to be very sincere with your heart. Are there situations whereby you earnestly feel God is not faithful or God is not righteous in his judgment? To me, I can say yes. Sometimes you feel, God, how? Why? This judgment get us to be. Sometimes you feel God, okay, now let me give you classical examples that are given there. So and so. Okay, so David. So God gave Saul instruction. When you go, kill everybody. And Saul went to the battle, killed and spared one man, and some few ram, rago, and some few things and brought it back. God dethroned him instantly from that kingship and decided, okay, fine. So you are not in my book again. I have disowned you. David took over somebody's wife. Not just that he took over somebody's wife. He did what? Then God says, I've forgiven you. And that child you gave birth to will also become a king. Talk through. Is it righteous? Do you see what I said before? You see, get as a because even humanity who kills more. Okay. Now, God says sometimes good things happen to bad. Good things, bad things happen to what? Good things. And good things happen to bad people. And you are wondering why? There's one example I pray to God, and God said, God, no test me. Don't just try. You see, Job was doing his own righteousness. Job. He was just his own doing righteousness. He was not even there when God was bragging with devil. He was not even there. And they now brag, and this guy became a victim. How do you say about this? Right? Do you know you begin to question? And you say, me, I was just there. Now, sometimes a lot of you here, I am saying these things because there are some things that actually I've been thinking. God, I have kept myself. I remain faithful to you. Why am I still like this? Now, I have situations whereby people were keeping themselves as I want to do the right thing. Others are attending clubs, one club to another, and they got married. Those people going to clubs got married. Me that come to doing a makorove, I'm still single. Why? Then you begin to ask God, why are you faithful to me? I'm sure somebody will be asking God, why does the wicked prosper? Why is it that a week, in fact, let's this very Job, look at what Job asked. Somebody should help me read that Job question. Habakkuk asked the question, but Job 21 verse 7. Job 21 verse 7. Job 21 verse 7. Yes. He says, wherefore the wicked live, they become old. In fact, some wicked men are old. Why should the wicked man be old? See, when I ask God a question from the bottom of my heart, there's one man in my village. I want to mention that, but he was a king. He will bring money and say, anybody that want to follow him to serve the devil, I will give you money. That he belongs to the devil and nobody should go to church. He will give money. People will line up like this and collect money. And he say, as you are collecting that money, you are not going to church. You promise him you will never step your feet into the church again. He lived so low. I'm like, and there's no kind of wickedness he will not do. But he was still alive. One day, this guy became sick. I didn't call him guy because he was very old. He now called me. Where is my son? Say, I am this. Say I should meet him in Makodu. I went there, I met him in the hospital on the bed. He now said I should pray for him. What? You? He said you're the son. You are my son. You are the only one. Although I've given birth to plenty children, but you're the one I consider as my son. Pray for me. Then after you pray for me, I ask you, do you want to be prayed for? And I say, why not? On this bed, this man started to pray. And then he now said, I should do him one more favor. He knows that snooty people will not agree to baptize him. I should look for a reverend father to come and baptize him. We sent for a reverend father, came, baptized this man, gave him a name, and he died. I began to ask God, what are these millions that this man has confused? Do you know from that bed, this guy could be straight to heaven? But do you know what that thing did to my life? I told God that if this guy could go to heaven, I don't go to heaven. Do you know he became my encouragement? I was even aggressively evangelizing more, say, so Zaki can go to heaven. Then me that was born in the church, because my parents were Christians and they gave birth to me, I kept on doing this thing. Then this man, if there's anything God. So, it became an encouragement to my life. So if I aggressively went for that evangelism and somebody was saved, this man did that indirectly. But it was painful. Even to close my eyes and pray for this man, it took courage. There's one thing that My wife was even mentioning this thing to me, and let me share with you. Because sometimes she was telling me that, hey, where Abraham, you don't know whether Abraham was even eyeing that girl. Where Sarah is say, but you can have this slave child. Boom! And the girl didn't even delay. Pop, he took it. You know, anytime you look at what we are facing with these people, this story comes to your mind. Oga, if we wait small, even small, Sarah would have conceived. So that we'll not have this rivalry we're having in the north anytime. Wahala, 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 wahala. And then to worsen the matter, God says, okay, go. Send this woman away. Abi, they send the child away. Now, luckily enough, the child no get water and was crying. They say he want to die, Abi. Then my wife say, okay. Now that he doesn't even have water, why can't you go and just relax? So that this case will not end yet. The angel came from heaven to come and give this person water to survive again. God, what? Are we together? I am saying this thing because you'll be thinking about these things in your heart too. There are certain things you need to know. Now, Uzzah is a person, you remember that person that had a trolley? He was guarding the chariots. Then the thing shook from this guy's bottom of the heart. He wanted to protect that thing. And bam, he died. What do you think about this? Terrible, right? And like, from this guy's heart, I wanted to protect the ark, Abi, and then God killed me. Then, let me tell you something about this Joshua 2:27. You know, Achan went and stole inside, he went and stole inside a wall. God began to punish him. What is going on that Achan stole? Now, when God wanted to deal with Achan for stealing that caused Israel, the Bible said in that verse 24 said, Achan, with his wife, and all his children, they were all destroyed. So, if you are the child, you were asking, Father, wouldn't be my own for this one. Why? Now, let's go to the issues of things that actually we need to know. What we need to know, there are knowledge of the past. There is knowledge of the past that we are not privy to this information. So God's judgment may look confusing to you at times because you have no knowledge of the past. You are looking at just now. Now, let me give you a classical example. Media, help me project Exodus 17:14. Exodus 17:14. Then somebody should help me read 1 Samuel 15, verse 3. 1 Samuel 15, verse 3. Okay. And the Lord said to Moses, write this for a memorial in the book and rehearse it, as in sing it, rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heaven. Amalek did something to God. They manipulated the people of Israel. And God killed Israel through one man, one fake prophet called, that they went and bribed. You remember that prophet that was riding a donkey? Balaam, right? Then he manipulated them and said, do something that will make God angry with these people and kill them. Because of that, God said, look, Amalekites, I will blot you out completely. He now told Moses, he said, rehearse it. Sing it to Joshua. I'm going to do this thing. Now, fast forward, years later, a child was born called Saul. What happened? Who is reading that First Samuel? Yes, go ahead.
First Samuel 15, verse 3.
He has the microphone. Thank you, sir.
Now go,
Now go,
attack the Amalekites,
attack the Amalekites,
and totally destroy all that belongs to them.
totally destroy all that belongs to them.
Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys.
Thank you very much. And you know, God says, I honor my word above what? My name. God said this, wrote it down. Years later, somebody was born to do this and failed to do it. If you see what God's punishment was, at a glance, you will say, God, that judgment was harsh. What about David? Well, look at this. So, lack of that not past knowledge can make you judge God quick, but his judgments are perfect. So, God protected his name by that action. In the case of David, there was no covenant that needed to be broken. It was not a covenant action. Here, it was a covenant action. And that guy was born, in the entire life, he was born to fulfill this. Shikina. So if you are born to fulfill this and you never fulfill it, why are you living? I disown you. Simple. So lack of historic knowledge can make us judge this thing. The knowledge of the future. You know, we see things now. God sees things ahead. So because you don't have that privilege of seeing things in the future, sometimes it gives us a big problem. Because looking at Joseph's case, to be very honest, if Joseph was to be told, I will be a king, do you know very well that there are certain instances whereby sometimes things are happening to you, you'll be celebrating because you have seen where you are going to head. If somebody slapped you, you say, okay, thank you very much, slap me again because I know I'm going to be king. But you don't know this. Now, there's every tendency of you missing the point. Because sometimes when these things are happening to you, you'll be wondering, at a point in time, you will almost like give up. That why? Because God is trying to prune you to arrive at that point in time, and it can be hectic. Knowledge of the unwritten knowledge. There are unwritten things that the Bible does not have contained. Let me put it that way. Because God said, if everything is contained in the Bible will be too big. So sometimes when you read something, there are a lot of things that has not been written that you don't know. Now, let me give you what is written that would have confused you, and you tell me how your judgment would have been. Read this Genesis 38. Somebody should help me read it. Verse 8 to 10. Okay. Now, Judah said to his owner, go into thy brother's wife and marry her and raise the seed unto thy brother. Next. Remember, it was God that told Judah to tell, because the firstborn, the seed that is going to rule must be from the firstborn. So God will pick somebody from the first child that will be the one that will reign until they will give birth to Jesus Christ. Now, the first child became stubborn and God killed him. And he didn't have a child any longer. Now, God wanted the younger brother to take this wife and have a child so that that lineage will continue, so that we'll end up having this thing. Now, what happened? Immediately, the guy, when they went to see the following day to see the guy died. Now, God told you to use your younger brother to take over your wife, so that you will have a lineage, right? Then the following day, the guy died. Now, if the story ends here, will you prescribe God a faithful judge? If this thing is not written, then the next chapter they said, then Onah died and was buried. Then God began to look for the next person. Will you even agree? Now, God wrote that small thing down for us to know why he takes that judgment. What was this man doing? Hi, this thing. Okay, you experience from share with us. What was this guy doing? I know you know better. I know because this one I leave my mouth. Yeah. Actually, only cause you see the snotty man. He said he was catching fish, throwing it outside instead of bringing it to the house. You know what that means? And God was watching this action. And he said, look, what you did, I'll kill you. Now, if this is not written, you will blame God totally for doing this action. I hope you are seeing the reasons why some of these actions are not clear. Now, the next one, why do we do this? The secret things of God are secret. Deuteronomy 29:29 says, the things of God that are preserved for man, not for man, I have led to my understanding. Sometimes it can be bad, but you don't know why. I bet you honestly, there are certain instances whereby you are waiting for God's judgment over the bad things people have done to you. And you have seen these people, they are still going on and on and on. I'm like, God, do I still go ahead and join this guy? Because there's a difference. There's a difference between a miracle and magic. If you are waiting, sometimes, the next one, please. Sometimes God delays. And that delay can be, it requires grace. At any point in time, God delays. He tests two things. He tests your patience. He tests your obedience. So at any point in time, you see God delaying, please be patient. There are some times you are asking God, why? When will you avenge me? Sometimes He wants you to just forgive that thing from your heart so that you would give me the opportunity to act my judgment. But you are holding on to it with bitterness. That's why He has not even arrived with His judgment yet. Free your mind. I told you, have a free mind. If you have a clear conscience, let the world gather against you. Don't worry. Time will tell. Time will tell. Now, I want to look at this picture and I will summarize this in this. This is God on the righteous throne. He sees the heart. He knows the end from the beginning and does everything. Meanwhile, His judgment sometimes can be harsh. Sometimes it may look unfair. Judgment may look as delayed. God, you delayed too much in this. Sometimes it may look as if it is uncommon. There's some judgment that God will say, people will complain, is it not too harsh? People are doing, why do you allow this? But God says, I am God. Because you trust in the Lord with thy heart and with the whole of your mind and not in your own understanding. This is what anybody may ask. Why? But God remains the righteous judge. Because at any point in time, He takes His decisions. There is always a justification. All you need to do is be patient and ask God carefully, not angrily, because you will miss a point. In conclusion, I am begging all of you to cultivate these three things. These three things. Please make sure you have them. Mercy. Always pray for mercy. Always pray for mercy over your life. See, if God can judge you based on your actions, nobody will live. Sure, you know this. Lamentations 3, verse 22 says, it is by your mercy that we are not consumed. I beg you, in every sense of humility, at every point in time, we are not righteous. We commit certain things that will affect even our children in generations. Please, at any point you come back, pray for God to have mercy on you. Make it a routine. God, have mercy on me. Have mercy on my children. Have mercy on my family. Sometimes don't be thinking, oh, I have done nothing wrong. No. There are things you have done that will offend God that you don't even know. So you wouldn't want to wait for that judgment to come before you pray for mercy. So always pray for mercy. Number two thing that you shouldn't always forget is pray for grace over your life. Pray for grace over your life. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, let your grace be sufficient for me at all times. That grace will help you in obtaining the next one called favor. You pray for God's favor because Psalm 5:12 and Proverbs 3 say, look, you wear favor like a garment. Now, when God is merciful to you and his grace is sufficient for you and wears you favor like a garment, then he forgives anything you do, and wherever you go, his favor is upon you and his judgment is always low. If God wants to lift someone up, it will be you, because he has shown you mercy, his grace is sufficient for you, and he has clothed you with divine favor. Today, God will have mercy on us. God Almighty Father in heaven will make his grace be sufficient for us. And God Almighty Father in heaven will favor us in such a way that his wrath will not be upon our lives, in such a way that his mercy will prevail over judgment. And he will not look at us as the way people even pray things will happen against us, but he will show us a surprise. This month of June, may his judgment favor us now and forevermore. In Jesus' mighty name we pray.